Welcome back to Meet You at Breakfast. We are here. We have the full cast and crew here. Brian, Julia, and Dylan with me tonight to talk about episode 4 of season 3 of the Traitors US. And what an episode! Probably one of the best episodes of the Traitors for me. And we have a lot to cover. Before we get into it, Dylan, I know you missed talking about the first 2 episodes. Anything you want to bring up about the season so far?
No, I mean, it's mixed feelings coming out of this episode because I was getting a little nervous for our survivor people, especially with the way this episode started. But I wish we got to see Tony play more. But I feel like he's such an obvious vote out, and I do feel bad for him. But it really is like if you're playing a game with a bunch of people that know how you play these type of games, and Tony is such a he's known for being a liar. I'm trying to find another word not to call him a liar, but he knows how to bend the truth to get the things he wants. So I'm not totally surprised he's out this early. I did really want to see him play a lot more. But that was kind of my first biggest takeaway. That kind of sucks, but I am glad Boston Rob ended up being able to get into the game. I think I texted you guys that it felt like a bait and switch at first because for whatever reason I just assumed they would market him this entire time and then just not include him in the show. That was kind of my own stupidity. But I'm really glad he's back, especially after this episode that we'll talk about. But no, I love this show. I'm hooked. I didn't think I would like it this much. I'm like completely hooked. I'm invested in other people that I've never seen before, like shows I don't watch. I'm like, I feel like I know them already. It's just, it's a very, very fun show. And I think that, I don't know if the other seasons started off this great, but like the first 4 episodes of this season have been very, very good reality TV.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever get this high and this fast, but especially like season 2 by like mid-season reached, I would say, similar heights. But yeah, I mean, do we want to go immediately in and talk about this roundtable, or we want to kind of set this up a little bit because
we gotta at least talk about Jeremy a little.
Yeah, I go way back with Jeremy. I've met Jeremy at a watch party in Boston for Survivor. He's incredibly nice. He's like just as charismatic and kind in person. He was my winner pick way back when San Juan del Sur, when Brian and I used to do Survivor podcasts like a decade ago. And
on our previous network.
Yes. And I was wrong about him on San Juan del Sur, but he had the juice. He came back 2 seasons later and won. He's a legend of Survivor. He was the person that I was the most excited for coming into this season, and it's definitely sad to see him go.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I was a little concerned about my girl Sierra there, though. They kind of just threw her to the wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob was very accurate on reading what putting the people in the boxes would do. And I feel like if Bob didn't, for no reason, throw Rob under the bus, the Traitors are cruising right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he did, and I don't know how long this will buy Rob in the game just because it was so bold and Wes was already on to him. But I do respect the fact that he was like, well, if I'm going to get gut, I'm going to, at least go down swinging,
Mm-hmm.
Jerry's my all-time favorite Survivor player, so this sucked for me.
Yeah.
But I also, up until the latter half of this episode, I actually thought that Boston Rob was not playing a Boston Rob type game. I thought getting rid of Tony was a bad move. Even though I said it was obvious that's why I think it was a bad move. I feel like you could have kept Tony around as long as possible, and he would have been one to use as a meat shield. Same thing with Jeremy. I feel like Jeremy, there is that Survivor connection there, maybe more so than the other shows, other than Big Brother. I just think the way that these game shows play out, there is just like that automatic connection. I do feel like since all 3 of them played together on a season, I felt like it was such an obvious alliance for him to have. So I wasn't a super big fan of him getting rid of Jeremy. I didn't think it was a great move, and I think it kind of played it, but it played into the rest of the events of this episode. where I think Danielle's been kind of like completely running that turret up there in terms of what's happening, and with the GOAT, of which Boston Rob is, I think it was just only a matter of time until he realized that and just did what he did today. Because if it wasn't Danielle, then it was Bob, who was also running up there. I think the best thing to ever happen to Carolyn was Boston Rob showing up, because I think that she was kind of just being completely dominated personality wise by those two into decision making. But I don't think Jeremy was a good move overall, but because he is such an amazing player, Boston Rob has now completely swung it into his favor. But I do agree. I think maybe it's too big of a move, but I'm really happy that this episode happened because it was sweet.
I know Rob's just chipping away at the Survivor people.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think any of the moves Rob has made have been good, but they've been good TV. So that's all I care about. Because I mean, look, maybe Boston Rob heard the Survivor fan base yell about how his winning Survivor season is like one of the worst of all time, so boring. And he's like, okay, well, if you think I'm boring, then I'll show you. I'll come on and make some fireworks happen, and maybe it will work, maybe it won't work, but I'm gonna make a good season, and I at least appreciate him for that. I don't think that I think when you're a traitor, something with a Tony move that I didn't really make sense for me is like Rob kind of like hedged a little bit, and he like half defended Tony, but then still ended up voting for him. But when you're a traitor and you know that there is like a dogpiling happening on a faithful, if you like kind of like subtly stand up for that faithful, you can kind of look like you know what you're talking about and gain some like credibility, in my opinion. If you like defend somebody who gets voted out still without your vote and they end up being a faithful. So I think that's a missed opportunity. I think that's something that Bob actually was doing well. I think that's one of the only things that Bob was doing well, actually.
I for the Survivor players, and I'm going to focus probably heavily on the Survivor players, just because I feel like them compared to like the Real Housewives or people or like Dylan Efron, my boy, who I'm now an expert on. I think people that haven't played games like this before are at a disadvantage against people like Big Brother and Survivor players. But I feel like the Survivor players were still playing Survivor in a way when they first got to that house. And I think it was kind of affecting them making the proper moves. And I feel like for Boston Rob, he figured it out, luckily for him, way before the others did. Like, because I think Carolyn had the moves where the moves she wanted to make were the right moves. If you were in the equivalent of Survivor for the moves she wanted to make, like her head was in the right space. But per typical Carolyn lore, she's unable to kind of push across her point and bond and articulate with these people. But Boston Rob, I think, quickly realized, maybe after the fact of eliminating those Survivor players, that this isn't Survivor, but this is a game that he probably is going to excel in because he is so good at reading people. I think that he's just now like evolved, where we know he's very good at Survivor, but now this is probably playing to his strengths of he can read people. He's pretty good at manipulating people. And I think that, I don't know, I think they build it up too much going forward that now everybody's gonna be gunning for him. I feel like that I can see him finessing this in the long term and potentially being there at the end. I just think that it's crazy seeing him play against other people like this that don't have the experience that he does, because it literally is just like it's a rookie versus like Tom Brady. That's that's what it is.
Yeah, you should watch Redemption Island.
You would love it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Julia, you have any thoughts on this? Because I think it's kind of like the big thing coming out of this episode is like, is Rob in a better spot now than he was before this move?
I don't know. I feel like going right after Bob kind of gained the respect of people like Dylan that were constantly going after Bob. They're like, okay, great, this guy is on the same page as me. So I think in that sense, but I'm not really sure. I feel like Bob was also trying to like throw Rob under the bus too at the table before he left, kind of being like, okay, well, you're saying that about me. Well, look who's saying that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked the game Rob was trying to play.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was trying to just like, go with what Bob and Danielle wanted. Like, we're all traitors, we're working together. I'm sure he didn't want to get Jeremy out immediately after getting Tony out, but he was like, cool, let's do it. That's what you want. And I think the only reason he did this was because Bob was like coming for him. I don't think he does this if Bob doesn't like be like, well, one of the new guys is a traitor in front of everyone for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I'm gonna say gamers, Big Brother, in the challenge, Wes, Danielle, Carolyn, if those three can get out before Rob will march these other people
Derek
to the
as
end
well.
of the game. Derek
Mhm.
as well, yeah. If he can get them out somehow, he will be able to, similar to Redemption Island, form like this cult of sycophants around like the great Boston Rob. I mean, look how excited they
Mhm.
were to
Mhm.
vote a traitor out. They were like they won the Super Bowl.
They,
Dylan
they
said
were
like
they were
Tom
knocking
Brady.
chairs over, like
Yeah,
cushions
like
were
Oh yeah.
flying.
I
you
think they were
could like
jumping on the
in that
floor on
moment.
top of each other.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
that moment, you can be like, I see how Rob was like able to build a cult in Redemption Island around his own, I guess like legacy, like his own. There's a reason the man has a
Mhm.
statue on on the island in Survivor. Like he is like
Mhm.
a larger than life figure, and he really like evolved the game in this round by like no one has ever like used the pre um banishment section to like aggressively be like, we're gonna, in the same way that we do it on Survivor, we're gonna get the numbers now and we're gonna go to tribal council and we're gonna vote regardless of what happens there.
Mhm.
For this, like, that's kind of an evolution in this game, which is impressive. I don't think Rob's in a great position now because like it can pretty easily come down to Wes, Danielle, Carolyn, Derek teaming up with a few other reality stars and getting Rob out in a banishment. But I don't think he was like coming into this game being like, I'm gonna play this aggressively. I think it just like happened,
Mhm.
It was a reaction to how Bob was playing. And I don't think Bob ever came into the Traitors being like, I want to play a savvy strategic game. I think Bob was like, I'm gonna be myself and this is me, and I'm gonna say what I want and I'm gonna do what I want and I'm gonna make really great television. So I'm not gonna
Mhm.
hold, Bob the drag queen to the same strategic standards that I'm gonna hold, that other group of players that I mentioned.
That's so fair.
Yeah.
So fair. But I
Yeah.
will say I was right. I did predict that Bob was going to be the first traitor banished.
Mhm.
And I looked back at my notes. I was like, yeah, yep. And I didn't think it was going to be this soon, then literally next episode, but I called that one, and I didn't think it was going to go down like that, but I thought it was going to be more like Dylan running the show, not necessarily another traitor going against him. But this whole episode I think just kind of like made me scratch my head, but I will say I was proud that I was right. I didn't think it was going to come this soon, but poor Bob.
Well, the way it was set up was it the voiceover with the the subtitles as it was heading off to commercial right after the mission? Was it Rob talking to Wes? Who was the second person he was talking to? Was it Wes or Derek? Because
Yeah,
he was,
one of
I
he was
think it was
I think it was Wes, right? He was like,
I thought it was it not Derek?
I couldn't tell
In
if
the
it was Wes
car?
or Derek because I could definitely tell it was obviously Rob's voice, and he also referenced he just called us out, referring to like the
Mm.
three guys who just came in late. So I don't know if he was talking. I don't know which one he was talking to, but
Mhm.
that being like the setup where Rob is not saying the name right away, and he's like, we have to we have to do tonight. You know, it's obvious. And he's like, yeah, you know, Nikki. And he's like, no, Bob the drag queen. He just called us out. I was like, whoa, cut to commercial. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. But I know what do you guys think of the whole Nikki thing?
I was surprised that everyone was like so sure that she was a traitor. I don't know if we're just like not getting the vibes that they're getting on Nikki. But yeah, I don't know. Wes like really like latched onto this idea that like she's a performer and she's gonna perform, and it's like, yeah, she was a professional wrestler, sure, but like, has she shown like that side of her in this game at all? I don't know. You know, like, I don't know.
I think this is like the same logic. This logic never makes sense. It never actually like pans out. And when it does, it's completely incidental and like not really like based off of any real logic. It's like completely vibes based, and it's usually like a name pops into your head, and then your brain invents reasons to like self-justify.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened in this episode of both Nikki and Sierra, to what I would say, because like I get the level one inclination of like, oh, a traitor would throw themselves in to the coffin, but it's like, if you think about it a little bit more, right? Like, what traitor would volunteer to be the one to get put into the coffin when they're doing a good job so far, seemingly, right? Like, it's just like a completely unnecessary risk to spotlight yourself like that when there's like very little suspicion floating around on like correct traitors. So I think that it's just like kind of a very classic like misstep in logic for people that I don't think are really tuned into how these games generally work, to be like, oh, it's got to be one of the two of Sierra or Nikki. Like, I mean, it's obviously easy for us to say because we know, like, we have perfect information, but like, I don't think it's really ever the case that the traitors would put themselves in this sort of situation.
No, yeah, it's very rare that they would just be like, hey, look at me right here, right in front of you, like dwindling the bait. But you know, I got to write it down for my girl Sierra, though. Everybody just started attacking her. And they're like, well, you talk with profanity, so that's just a sign. And I'm like, no, she's a New Yorker. Like, that's just how they talk. I'm like, that's just how they talk. Like, come on. And I'm like,
what a cop thing to say, honestly.
Right. And she's like, this is how I talk. Like,
oh,
poor Sierra.
That's also like it's a northeastern U.S. thing. It's like New England and New York thing, right? Like, yeah.
The F-bomb is just part of our natural like.
Which you would think Derek would know, given he's from Rhode Island, right? But maybe
right.
I guess not.
What did you think about that accusation?
It's one of the very strange like elements to this game, is that you're watching it knowing that these people are wrong, like knowing that this other person's a traitor. So it's like very easy to just sit there, and I think it creates a bias to my opinion of like, oh, you're an idiot for thinking that they're a traitor. They're not, and I know they are. Or like it was vice versa. Everybody's saying that every time Bob was accused of being a traitor, and everybody immediately wrote it off. It's like, oh, you guys are so stupid. Like he's playing like a cheap fiddle. It's like a weird part of like watching this game, unlike a game like Survivor, where like a lot of it is like opinion based, or of like whether you think someone's doing great or doing bad or deserves to be voting off, or whether that's the right move or not, or like, voting this person off is the right or wrong move if you're a faithful wanting to get a traitor off. So it's because there's so many different accusations, and people bring up so many things during an episode, where like, even though it's wrong, you're like kind of just sitting there listening to bullshit and like seeing what they're saying. And it's like, oh, like, I saw them drink tea with their left hand instead of their right. That was very suspicious. Like, yeah, I don't know, I guess. Yeah, but I think it adds a comedic element too that I really like. And it's also like, I think there's like another really personal level to this game too, where, and even if it's unintentional, and for example, I don't like the I didn't like the Zac Efron slander. I didn't care for that at all. I think Zac Efron's really evolved into a fantastic actor in front of our eyes the past couple of years.
Did you hear Dolores at the end? She's like, "Your brother's a fine actor."
Yeah, that was me. That was me talking on the TV too.
I know.
Right after being snubbed,
He's a good
for Iron
actor.
Claw. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
I think that I don't know. I think it's like it's very funny, but like I said, on the personal level though, I think a lot of these people, I think especially at first, I think a lot of it is like a likability or like preconceptions of people like Tony, where I mean, we've had 2 episodes now where we've seen Tony cry and we've seen Jeremy cry. That's like something I didn't think I would see going into this show, especially 2 people that played a game like Survivor that know it's a game. But like, there's just a really personal element to this. Almost, it's like a schoolyard like pick of like, hey, we like you, or we kind of think you're a scumbag, and so we want nothing to do with you. It's like it's very, I don't know, it's very not elementary is the word. It's almost like it's like high school. It's like a popularity contest at first, and I think hopefully with this move with that Boss and Rob made against Bob, it's like it shows everybody that, hey, this person we all liked a lot was playing us insanely bad, because nobody here wanted to say it was him, and the people that did accuse him were right. Like, oh yeah, this is a game, because the person that we thought was our friend was going to start murdering us left and right. So I hope that adds to it. And then also shout out Wes. I'm very happy there's an early challenge right around like fresh meat is when I started watching the challenge. And so I'm really happy to see Wes. I didn't recognize him at first with the beard either, because I haven't watched that show in so long. And when it said Wes from the challenge, it didn't click in my head for a bit. So shout out Wes, even though he's an idiot for wanting to go after Nikki.
Well, but by the end of the episode, though, we get this conversation. I think it was Wes, Ivar, Tom, and I think Robin were in the bar area. And Tom is like gassing up Rob and being like, man, to be so sure that he's a traitor, that's incredible. Like, I'm going to listen to everything he says. And Wes is like, well, nobody can ever be 100% sure who the traitor is unless, and then, Tom finishes his sentence and like, unless they're a traitor. And then like,
yeah, Tom. I should know more about him.
Yeah, we're gonna see if Wes has the game that he's being hyped up to have at this time. Like, I've only seen 1 season of the challenge with Wes, and that was the Challenge USA season 2. And he was okay on that. A lot of his storyline was, I'm never gonna play the challenge again after this season, and then he like tried to challenge Chris Underwood from Survivor, and Chris kind of like big dogged him in an elimination, like pretty brutally, and eliminated him. So I didn't like have the, reverence for Wes coming into this game that I feel like a lot of challenge fans do have for him. So I assume he's at least capable of pulling some game stuff off. So I'm excited to see what he's got,
I do wonder. So I'm looking at a poster for this season, and there's 3 empty spots who are obviously we now know is Derek, and one was Wes. I feel like is there a possibility that a third person or another person, because Boss and Rob is already on like this cast, is there a potential that another person gets thrown into this game past this point?
I don't think so. Like, I'd be surprised.
Into the game pretty late last season.
Yeah, but like I think like it was known that Derek and Wes were going to get thrown in, and I have not seen anything about another person getting thrown in at a separate point. So
I remember in the first trailer, weren't Kate and Parv like in like a second of it?
Yeah, that to me felt more like they were going to host a mission or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm like trying to read the list, and like I just can't tell if there's someone that is already on the show that is missing that is not on this list. But I don't know, if another person comes in, you heard it here first, I guess.
I don't think we need look. We talked about potential Kate 3.0 last week, and I don't think I need a Kate 3.0.
No. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. So, what do you think for the mission that we want to talk about? Is it an interesting mission? It definitely seemed like one of those ones where they throw in and it's like basically impossible for them to fail, and there's just more drama about who gets a shield.
Yeah. For sure.
I didn't like
Or
that
Bob.
you had a guy who has a bad heart do this
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
I was kind of like nervous.
I was like, holy
Yeah.
hell, I was like, man, I hope Traitors got good insurance, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know he's like, I'm not the same trainer that I was before. I'm like, honey, you're older now. You had a heart attack. Don't run up the hill. It's okay. We all know that you're Bob Harper and you're insanely good shape.
Yeah, it's
We
like
don't need to prove it.
I remember watching The Biggest Loser when I was like very, very young. Like I watched The Biggest
that
Loser
was on rotation at our house
for years and years. It's like, you know, yeah, and even then, like he was probably like in his like 30s or 40s, and he's like what, in his 60s now. I don't even know how much he is.
Yeah.
I think I looked it up. Yeah, I think he's in his early 60s.
Yeah.
I was shocked when it clicked in my head who that was, because a lot of the times I feel like I miss when it shows where they're from. Like I have no idea what the hell Summer House is or Selling Sunset. I don't know any of those. But when it showed that he was The Biggest Loser, it like clicked in my head because I don't know, like 2005, 2006 is probably when The Biggest Loser like really popped off. I think that sounds timeline wise right. I don't know. Yeah, man. Just a reminder, we're all getting old, because I was like, wow, that's the same guy. That's crazy. Yeah, having a guy with a heart attack run up there, that was not easy. I'm glad he got a head up there. I'm glad it seemed like, I don't know. I thought it was ridiculous. This is also where I was starting to be like, I thought that drag queen Bob was starting to kind of show where he was at, because he was the only one not panicking. And I think like when you have a lot of these other people that are realizing that you could very easily be killed in this game, I thought him kind of yelling to try to get people to calm down, to not rush through this for a challenge that like they have the potential to rush through, I thought was kind of telling. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of like it's built around these people that have endurance and strength to kind of get everything out there that they need, which is pretty much what happened. And then obviously they left like one spot to kind of decide who was going to get picked.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Derek's kind of strategy here? He's kind of implementing a little bit of his like big brother strategy so far, where he's like deliberately not getting a shield and instead is helping other people get a shield to try to win over allies. You see, he does this with Tom, and then he does this with Bob Harper. I think it's like it's interesting strategy. I personally don't know if I love it, because I guess in his mind, right, with Tony going out, like maybe he's like, oh, they're going to be shooting at big dogs, like, and like my name could be kind of floated at that point. And he's like, okay, let me win over some friends so I don't get banished when I don't really feel like I'm going to get murdered, probably for a similar reason. Like the Traitors would want to keep around the big dogs, but like maybe he also thinks that one of Wes or Rob is a traitor and they'll protect him because they have this like this agreement. But I don't know. What were you guys' thoughts on that?
I find myself liking Derek a lot. Not really like a thought on like the actual his move itself, but is Derek like considered like a likable character of Big Brother? I kind of like what is the overall viewpoint of like Danielle, Brittany, and Derek from Big Brother?
Have you watched? Okay, let me see who I can compare these to from Survivor. Have you seen China?
No, that China was the only thing I know about China was James on China.
Yeah,
that's like one of the only things I know about China was James' first.
Yeah, I mean the Survivor player that Brittany is most commonly compared to is from China. You watched Heroes vs. Villains though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know Courtney.
Yep.
Yeah, so Courtney was who Brittany is most commonly compared to. But I would say like probably a better player. Like I think Brittany was like in a relatively good spot in her second season to win, and then Dan, who was on season 2 of the Traitors, kind of like made this crazy move, which is called Dad's Funeral, where he kind of like flipped the house and got Brittany out and kind of upended the whole structure. But I'd say Brittany is like relatively well liked. She gives like snarky confessionals. She'd be pretty quiet in the Traitors so far, but she's like usually pretty good in confessionals. Like kind of just snarky and like lovable for that reason. Danielle is like an old school player who kind of is seen as like robbed, from a jury vote in season 3.
Rob Sesternino of Big Brother, maybe.
Yeah, she's like very often like considered one of the best players ever to win. Like she's kind of in the conversation of like top 3 players never to win. And she usually was like way more of a killer, but it seems like she's gotten soft with age a little bit. But yeah, she's like also pretty beloved. Derek, I would say, is pretty controversial. The reason being, well, probably by multiple reasons. One is like the season he won and the only season he played, he kind of like ran the game like kind of front to back, and there wasn't really like a lot of give. And so because of that, the season was very predictable. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people kind of just like frustrated, like kind of similar to, I guess, like the season Boston Rob won Survivor, where there wasn't really like a lot of like big name, like potential players that were challenging him. And it was just kind of like this alliance that kind of started big and then ate itself as the game went down. And there wasn't really like any big moves or like huge kind of like moments. And also there's Big Brother 22 All-Stars. A lot of people consider him to have potentially ruined that season by, despite not being on it, helping Cody pregame to form alliances that allowed that season to also be very boring and predictable. So for that reason, I think a lot of people also don't like him. And he also got into a Twitter beef this past week with an RHAP podcast for really good reason. Yeah.
Oh God. People still get into Twitter beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dying, but in between the horrible shock videos that get on your feed, no matter how many times you block accounts.
Yeah. So Mike Bloom, who's like a reality TV journalist who also does podcasts for RHAP, made like a joke on Twitter about the fight between Dylan and Bob the Drag Queen in episode 3 at the round table. And he referred to Dylan as Zac Efron's brother. And he's like, we've seen Bob the Drag Queen go head to head with all of these big names from RuPaul's Drag Race. And then, who would have thought that he would be up against Zac Efron's brother or something to that degree?
Ouch.
And Derek got really mad and was like, how dare you like call him, Zac Efron's brother, call him by his name. You're trying to like get likes off of him or something like that. Mm. So that was funny.
Is now a good time for our Dylan Efron facts then?
I'm very glad you asked that because I have one. Because Dylan Efron is his own man. Much like Zac, Dylan has dipped his toes into the entertainment industry. And while Zac predominantly appears on screen, his brother has worked behind the scenes as a production coordinator on several projects, including American Sniper, Live by Night, and the greatest podcast that Brian and I ever recorded that will never see the light of day, Ready Player One.
It released. We just had to record it twice.
The first take was the best.
Yeah, but nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. So does that answer your question? That was very long-winded, kind of like going through all the Big Brother players.
Yeah, can't believe Zac Efron's brother did all that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He also produced Zac's documentary.
Call him by his name, Brian.
Call him by his name.
Down to Earth, which ran for 2 seasons, and he even appeared in one of those alongside Zac.
Yeah, that's his bottom third, Down to Earth.
Mm-hmm. That is his description.
Brother. Yeah.
I do feel like I need to have all these facts last me for the rest of the season, so I just rattled off a lot. So that's our Dylan. That's our Dylan Efron. Dylan Efron is a person. Fact of the day.
Right.
I wonder if there's a support group for celebrity sibling support group.
Oh, I'm
Well, there's an
sure.
entire reality show for it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There is. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, Dylan, Derek would be proud of you humanizing Dylan Efron. He would
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you got to stand up for fellow Dylan.
I was just gonna say the name twins. They got to stick up for each
That
other.
is true. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Although I found out that Dylan is not his first name; it's his middle name that he goes by. I believe.
Interesting.
Well, that was.
What's his first name?
I can't remember. Yeah, I
So even Derek wasn't right. Even Derek doesn't know.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just
Nicholas Dylan Harrison Efron.
Oh,
Interesting.
His first name is not
Nick's
actually
a great
Dylan. It's
name.
Nicholas.
I don't know.
interesting.
There's another fact out the window. We're just letting these things roll out.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be on the season for quite a while from seemingly what's being set up. So yeah, we need to have a lot more facts in the to stick around. So
Yeah. That always surprises me when people are like, "Oh, this is my name," and then later you find out it's their middle name. It's like, why would you choose that?
He apparently has a massive social media following, which I imagine a majority of these people do. So immediately when I mentioned it to my wife that Dylan Efron was on this season, she got very excited.
Oh, all right.
wow. Okay.
Who knew that he was so popular? I just found out he existed from the show.
I mean, I knew
yeah.
that Zac Efron had a brother, but I didn't really,
Yeah.
I've really only cared about Zach. Sorry, Dylan, but he's important now. He's important now.
I think he's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Set himself up for a long reality TV career if he wants it.
His current reads now that Bob are out, not great though. What did he say? He did Gabby and then Bob Harper were his next potential traitor. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Now that you say that, I do kind of wonder, because I think this is another conflict I've been having watching this, where I think the first thing I love about this show is I think it's just absurdly entertaining. I think it's just really, really entertaining to watch. I love how over the top and dramatic a lot of it is. I think particularly, I mean, I haven't seen the first two seasons, particularly the cast of this season, I think is just has meshed really well of just being ridiculous while also just like super, super likable for the most part. But like, I do wonder what your opinions are of where some of these players are at, of who's playing good and who's not playing well, because a lot of the times I feel like Bob, for example, I fluctuated on so much in these first 4 episodes where, like, I don't know, after the first episode, halfway through the second, I'm like, oh my God, he's running this game. He's doing unbelievable. Like, nobody suspects him. He's playing it off. And then I come down to, like, I don't know. Now he's kind of annoying me. Like, he's purposely throwing himself into like everything. Like, even like when Bob from Biggest Loser started crying about his heart, he ran over to hug him. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of hate people that throw themselves into things like that. Like, and then obviously kind of towards halfway through, I'm like, I don't know, is he playing that good of a game? Which is pretty much where Boston Rob kind of clicked on screen too. So, and even like I said, Boston Rob, this is an amazing move, wildly entertaining. I don't know if it was necessarily the best gameplay for him overall, but it was awesome to watch. But like I said before, I don't even think he had been playing that well up to this point. And even Danielle, I think Danielle, and I think it's easier to pick up the Traitors first, so who is kind of running the game, because they are at this point. Even Danielle, I thought a few of the moves she made were great. But then also, like, I think voting out Jeremy was like or killing Jeremy was very emotional, kind of like an emotional move that I don't think they really thought about. She just wanted to do it, and they did it. Same thing with her. I think like the crying was over the top, and clearly a lot of people suspected that was fake. Like, I don't really know who at this point is playing well, maybe other than Dylan Efron.
I think Carolyn's doing fine. I mean, as a trader, I think we all talked last week. I think all 3 of us agreed that Bob was playing the worst out of the traders and Carolyn was playing the best. I think obviously that played out for in this episode. Bob went out in the first of the trader. I think Carolyn is still playing the best out of the 3 traders that are left. I think she continues to have the correct reads. I don't necessarily think that the Jeremy kill was great for anybody except for Danielle. I think the other 3 traitors it was not good for. I think if you are a traitor, like there's this kind of idea that the traitors is like a team game where it's traitors versus faithfuls. But at the end of the day, it is an individual game, and I think that somebody like Rob does understand that, even if like I don't know if I fully buy into this move. And having suspicion fall onto a traitor or like be funneled into a traitor that isn't you is good for you, because that means that like if they get that traitor out, you could potentially jump on the bandwagon to prove your innocence. It also means that like they're hyper focused on somebody who they're going to be corrupt about that isn't you. Like there's just like almost no downside to it. So this idea of like going out of your way to protect the other traitors is usually just bad. Like you can do it to a degree, but I don't agree with doing it like to the level of actively killing off people like Jeremy if you're somebody like a Rob or a Carolyn. So I don't know. I think Carolyn has been on the money in terms of the strategy. I think she's probably correct here that this move by Rob was premature and not going to like play out well. It seems like she's going to try to use her relationship with Danielle to flip it on him at some point, if not immediately. And I don't think a single person in that castle is even close to suspecting her as a traitor.
No, yeah, I agree.
no
I
way.
think that she's gonna ride the wave the longest. I think Rob and Danielle are gonna go much quicker than Carolyn.
How do you win the game if you're a traitor? You just get all the faithfuls out, and then that's it. That's the game.
Kind of. So, but when you get down to the final 4, like it basically plays out this way until there's 4 people left, and then when there's 4 people left, they go to the final fire, and everybody is given a green pouch and a red pouch, and they can choose to either end the game with the green pouch or keep going with the red pouch. And if everyone votes to end the game, any traitors that are left win all of the money and split the money, and the faithfuls that are left get nothing. And if there are all faithfuls left, then they all equally split the money. And if somebody throws a red pouch in, it has to be unanimous. If one person or more throws the red pouch in, they all vote again, like publicly in front of each other, basically. And then the new rules, I believe, are final 5 on. You are not told if the person is a faithful or a traitor when they get voted out. So yeah, you kind of just have to like convince the faithfuls in the end game that you're also a faithful and get them to end the game with you.
Because it's funny. I kind of came in with the opposite perspective of Carolyn. I thought that she hasn't been playing that great so far, and I think I find myself being scarred from Survivor with her, where I feel like she hasn't been making those connections at all, and that was my concern. And at the same time, she was just being dominated when it comes to kind of speaking your mind, which is, like I said, is just always unfortunately just been Carolyn's kind of issue. But that's interesting too, because I think as long as you make it towards the end, at that point, if she's viewed as this person, like, I don't know, maybe like she hasn't been this traitor this whole, because I think out of the 3 traitors are left, she's for sure probably the least suspected of. Obviously, no one's brought her up. I think one person jokingly was like, "Could it be Carolyn?" They were like, "No, that was she." Or if she is, she would be the best traitor of all time. Yeah, I'd love some Carolyn redemption. I'd love to see her win this season. I'd love to see any Survivor player win this season. That'd be
like
great.
2 left, so.
So yeah,
Got a 50-50 shot.
Unless this mystery person we have coming in is Russell. That'd be really, I think he'd be great in this game. Yeah, I obviously, just by bias, I find myself really rooting for Survivor players, but like I said, I do find myself starting to be like a lot more of these other people from shows that I've never watched. But yeah, that's interesting to hear you guys say that. I think that this is one of those games too where I feel like I just really will never have a feel on the pulse of like who is actually doing really well, because I think it could just change like so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the game is not about controlling the votes or like controlling who gets murdered if you're a traitor. It's just about managing your threat level. Suri won the first season, and I don't remember one person even saying Suri could be a traitor
No.
the whole game. Like, she played masterfully and like dodged suspicion and got 2 faithfuls to end the game with her still there in order to win it. And like, even Alan said at the finale, like, you're the best liar I've ever met in my whole life. Like, it was so awesome.
Yeah,
Literally
and
one
they
of
were
the
so
greatest reality
confident
TV
too.
moments for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, she's a faithful, and she's like,
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like top tier. Like, as someone who has been, pulling for Cerise since 2006 was when Exile Islands read, like to watch her win a game in that way was like really thrilling. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Carolyn, where it's like, okay, she's not being listened to, and that sucks, but no one's gonna vote her off at the banishment table. And eventually maybe she'll be the only traitor left and she'll be able to do whatever she wants. Will she be able to continue to play this well when she's more calling the shots? I guess we'll see, but for now she's in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think the big thing is go ahead, Julie.
I just said definitely.
Yeah, I think the big thing is like when you look at why Carolyn didn't succeed on Survivor, right? It was because there was a jury that she had to convince that she played a good game, and people just didn't buy into her having been a strategic, agent in the game, even though she was, because of her personality. There's no jury on the Traitors, so you don't really have to convince people that you were a good player. You just have to convince them that you're a faithful. And I think that's like a very, very different skill set. And I think that's definitely more in line with something that Carolyn can accomplish.
Yeah. I think Fabio would be really good at this game as someone who similarly would be able to hide their threat level. I'm just trying to get Fabio back on reality TV. It's a losing effort at this point.
Yeah, put him on Survivor 50. Come on, what are you doing?
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
What was the other person we were thinking? Oh, it was Mr. Spectacular. We were hoping that he'd make an appearance too.
Put Mr. Spectacular in the castle
Jesse in
too,
there.
but
Throw
not
him in.
because he's gonna win, but because he's gonna be amazing television.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. He'd walk around the Scottish grounds with like a cutoff.
Yeah, I'm gonna like the white team with the arm all the way down.
All
here.
the way down.
Yeah. Yeah, what else? I guess Gabby is somebody else I think is playing pretty well. Like, from a faithful perspective, it's very hard to play well as a faithful because there's so much variance, and because like you can be right. Like you can see with something like somebody like Jeremy, right? Jeremy was spot on. His reads were very good, but your reads being good doesn't matter if you can't execute on them and like protect yourself from being murdered. And he was not able to do either, so it didn't matter that his reads were good. And his read on Carol was very bad. So yeah, it's when you have somebody like Gabby, who I think has some social insulation. She has the Bambis. She seems relatively well liked. She has enough stuff on her. With now Dylan has fed her name to Rob. Rob is not going to let Gabby get murdered because now he feels like he's controlling Dylan like a pawn. And if Dylan's next target is Gabby, then, Rob's not going to let the other traitors murder Gabby because that doesn't make any sense. So she's not really in trouble of immediately getting murdered like in the near future. She has good reads. She was able to like pick up on Danielle. She kind of got off of it because of like the way the whole bookcase, cupboard thing, that conversation at breakfast happened. I hope that she doesn't completely throw that suspicion away, because I think she has good instincts, but she doesn't really trust those instincts fully. Maybe it's like a confidence issue, but she seems like a relatively confident person in like social interactions. Maybe it's like a confidence in her ability to be strategic. So I don't know. I have high hopes for Gabby from what I've seen so far.
I agree. I think she like threw away that theory a little too quickly. She was like, "Oh, okay, never mind. It's like, no, Gabby, you're on the money. Like, ride with it a little bit more."
Yeah.
And who said that thing about her that was like, her only job is to just be here and look cute?
That was Danielle, I think. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I think Danielle was saying it to Derek, basically like Danielle's trying to push this narrative of like the traitor is somebody that is trying to be, appear innocent, right? I didn't really seem to stick, but
yeah.
It'll be interesting. I think the show certainly wants us to be aware of Gabby. I think she had maybe the most like confessionals in this episode for an episode where she wasn't really like doing that much in terms of like dictating any of the votes or like being targeted or anything like that. So if the show wants us to know about her, I assume she's going to be important.
I still love her quote from when Jeremy asked her, "Oh, you were on The Bachelor? How'd that work out?" "Oh, I'm a lesbian now."
Yeah.
Literally,
great.
she posted that as her Instagram caption today, and I was like, "That's amazing."
Oh man.
But she's known for that too. She's known for being like iconically quotable. So I'm interested to see what else she does.
Yeah, I'm like very interested to see kind of where the Bambi's as a trio goes. 'Cause I think like the show, like Brian said, is pushing that. I think like if we get a faithful win, I'm looking at like the Bambi's and Dylan right now as like potential faithful winners. If Dylan doesn't end up getting recruited, which I could see at this point as a potential down the line, and especially if Rob stays in. I guess anything else we want to talk about with this episode? We kind of were all over the place, but it was a crazy episode, and I know we wanted to like kind of focus on the big drama.
I'm
I
good.
think. Yeah, me too.
I love it. That's the only other thing I have to say about it. I love it. The production's great. You guys are right about Alan Cumming. He's awesome as a host. Just
so good.
Just it's and I it adds to it too that there's just like this. He seems very genuine, but there's another added element too where I feel like he's playing this character of Alan Cumming being the host, and I think it works really, really well. Whereas like a lot of other shows, you get like this, like it seems very inauthentic, but I love it. And the production's great. We kept praising the production of Survivor this past season. I love the production. I love the way that they did the camera when Boston Rob was waiting to reveal who he was, and he just turned his head right to Bob. That was great. No, I love this show. I already know who wins seasons 1 and 2, but I just find myself just kind of be able to. I want to go back now and watch those just to be able to soak up more of it. I think it's great. I'm hoping this season allows us to become a lot more popular. There's a lot of people I know that are starting to watch the season just because there's a few more people that they know of. Where I don't know if that was a situation in previous seasons. I really hope it blows up. Because I think this is a really, really fun show to watch in like groups and to talk about. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think I saw that it's like the most viewed reality show in like the first, week. Obviously you have 3 episodes, so that helps a lot. But in like streaming, the most viewed reality show. By like minutes watch. I don't really understand how they do the streaming calculations on what's popular, but I saw a tweet that said it was the most popular. So I think, I think it's going to be here to stay. And there's so many great reality stars out there from all the years of, making these various shows. So I can't wait to see like who they get next. And like you said, Dylan, Alan Cummings, maybe like the biggest breath of fresh air in terms of like a reality host like ever. He brings it so hard, and like a very famous Broadway actor, like an incredible like movie actor as well. Like what else would you expect from him than bringing like a huge flair to the show?
I love that man.
Yeah, really great. Just
the coffin scene was super fun. Like just like him like being like he slams the lid shut and he's like, "Go, get here!" And everyone's like looking over their shoulders, like, "Get out of here! You too, Tom, get out of here!"
It's tough because I just imagine they don't want to compete with with Big Brother and Survivor
Mhm.
and any of the other reality shows, but I think this would be a really, really fun show to have on during like the fall spooky season of Halloween.
Yeah, dude, it feels like a spook walk. The
Um,
whole show feels like that type of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt we'll probably ever get it during that time just because of what they're going up against. But and this works out perfectly now having it during kind of just this dead time of TV.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do love. I thought that coffin scene was awesome. But that was what I could think the whole time. Like this would be really fun during Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. NBC should maybe put like the older seasons on the fall lineup, and then
Mhm.
like try to drive subscribers to Peacock that way.
Yeah.
That could
But also,
be
I'm a simpleton too. I really enjoy hearing people swear.
Yeah,
Not
that's-
the
that's
beef,
true.
so that's always nice.
No filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, give seasons 1 and 2 a watch. They were very binge worthy. I watched both of them in like one weekend.
I
Yeah.
have to at this point, especially because
Yeah.
I don't think my wife knows who wins the first 2 seasons. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have to. I guarantee I will probably after the season ends.
I think both seasons. I think season 1 might improve because I watched season 1 knowing who won it, and I think it probably improved the watch because I was able to watch Cherie as a player from the beginning, knowing that she won. And I don't think that season 2 really is affected by the winner being known that much. Because it's not really like the story of the season is not really about them. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think either season is really harmed much from knowing who wins.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
the
same for me.
votes in the middle. That's the real meat
Yeah.
of it, and you're not going to know the whole boot order unless you go out of your way to find it out.
Yeah. Season 2 episodes like 6 through 10, like 5 through 10, like are just fire.
No, I will. I'm excited. I'm like you said, Brian. It's everything. Pretty much everything about the show is a breath of fresh air, comparatively to. I think obviously Survivor's having a nice little comeback, but I do think like a lot of reality TV is is in like this like rut of of being stale. Where this is great, and like I said, that cinematic element to it really adds to it. I like it a lot. Even though some people might find it like cheesy at times, but it's so fun.
No, I mean it's the same reason why I love The Genius and Devil's Plan. It's like very like it knows its lane and it's just like full selling the concept, and it's like not shying away from being kind of a little bit like campy and extra, but like not in like a way that like it's just like super cheesy, but like in a way that's like it rides the line, but like it works.
Yeah, and I mean it just won the Emmy for best reality show, so like I don't know, everything's up right now for the Traitors.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like really
it's
good
just
vibe.
different.
Yeah.
It stands
And
out.
our first episode for our channel did really well, so like I think there is like a big appetite for it out there. So
An appetite for murder.
yes,
The murder.
Uh-huh.
The Scottish accent. It's a murder.
oh man.
All right, want to wrap this up?
Yeah, so I guess Julia, start with you. Anything you want to promote, plug before we get out of here?
Sure. I have my Instagram, Jewel Sharon, and I also have my own photography business, Photos X Julia. If you're in the New England area, feel free to give that a look.
Yeah, check it out. Ben, same thing.
Yeah, you can follow me pretty much only on Blue. I literally have deactivated pretty much all of my other social media, except I do sort of use Blue Sky on Ben Share, and I don't use it often, but I do pop on there for like reality TV updates.
Mm-hmm. And Dylan, same thing.
Nothing has changed in Survivor. It's DJ Clubberlang on everything, on Twitch, on TikTok. We're gonna be playing more games, Brian. We talk about
Marvel Rivals. Play it.
Continue.
Come
I haven't
on.
played it yet. I want to download it.
You haven't played it at all? Oh, you gotta
no,
download it and play.
Not yet.
Dude, it's awesome.
I'm convinced Biden's dying wish is going to be saving TikTok. So I'm hoping to still be active there come Tuesday. Follow me there. I'm still on Twitter. I got to engage with the Some of us have to be like the Dark Knight of the internet. I gotta engage.
Yeah, we
with
gotta get.
psychos.
It really is fucking Gotham City now.
Between that and TikTok, I've fully evolved into like this whole brain rot. I've like sacrificed my mental capacity to get in the slums with these people. So yeah, follow me on those.
Yeah, I like that you're not afraid to get in the mud. You know,
No.
that's always good. 'Cause I'm also there in the streets of Gotham City. Maybe Arkham Asylum, depending on how.
Yes,
how
I protected my mental health and deleted it all.
Fool.
So, yeah,
Good for you. Good for you. No brain rot in that house.
Oh man, yeah. I was actually thinking when I was making some fake nerd videos for TikTok today, and I was like, I only have to do 2 more technically, and then TikTok's gone. But what if they save it at the 11th hour, and then like I'm like, oh no, I don't have enough to upload.
Your final video gets like 1 million views.
Yeah, that would
goes dark.
actually be very Brian thing to happen.
Dude, you keep wearing those hats to like any social media channel, and people are gonna keep commenting, "Wow, nice hat." So
yeah, that's true. People love it.
People
I broke
love
out
hats.
the this is the what is it, the AA affiliate for the Red Sox. That's a whoopie pie. What's the main affiliate? Do you know? The Portland
Sox?
Sea Dogs?
Oh, the Portland Sea Dogs. Well, the Portland Sea Dogs, yeah.
They have an alternate jersey, which is, I guess, whoopie pies. So I bought that. I thought that was very fun. A very fun hat. And I bought Oregon, the Portland, whatever affiliate. They have, you know how they blew up a whale that got beached back in the day? They have a alternate jersey that's a whale and with the bat and dynamite. No. And I bought that, but the hat size came in too small and I couldn't get a bigger one. So hopefully one day I'll actually have that as a fun hat to wear. Yeah. But
one of the most American things that's ever happened is the blowing up a dead whale.
Oh yeah. Literally one of my favorite like things that ever happened in like the history of the world was that. Like
that and when they released all the balloons
in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Polluted the river. That was also
destroyed the city.
Oh gosh.
Only in Cleveland could they do something like that. But
only in America.
Right?
We're so dumb.
But yeah, so you can follow, me on TikTok and we can get everything, those fake nerds, Wicked Good Sports, for as long as it lasts. I'm also on Twitter at the fake BMAR, BMARR. The main channel, we could get everything. Put a couple videos up this week, and then those fake nerds also on YouTube and Wicked Good Sports, which is sports podcasting, and then of course Better Radio, which this is on, which is our podcast stuff. I want to be streaming more as well, like Dylan and I talked about. I spent yesterday figuring out how to make a 2 PC stream setup work. I think I did, so we'll see. I'm hopeful. And I want to play Thor in Marvel Rivals, and I was playing on Xbox while everyone else in my Ben and everyone else was playing on PC, and I just felt like I wasn't keeping up the way that I can when I'm playing on PC, so I had to get that figured out. But lots of stuff. What was that, Dylan?
I'll say we should stream the Survivor card game, which is now out.
That'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Videos of that.
Yeah.
That's like it's like Exploding Kittens, right? It's kind of like
it looks fun. It looks fun. I would be very down for that. I also just realized my shirt that I've been wearing all day is inside out, so I should take the robe off.
I played Exploding Kittens once, and it is like the one time I played it, I did win. It's kind of like it's like similar. It's got like social strategy elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really made by like the same company. I think.
Yeah.
It does it. Yeah.
So I think it could work.
That'd be fun.
Okay, so we went from exploding whales to exploding kittens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What?
All named together.
Now we're going to talk about exploding drones over the New Jersey coast.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I think God, I lost my train of thought. We did do a Settlers of Catan stream once, which is very fun. So I would love to do like another in real life card game stream. I think that'd be unique. But yeah, other than that, there really is nothing other than that. Thank you all so much for listening to us ramble on about the Traitors. It's like midnight our time, so if it got a little weird at the end, hopefully that's why. You'll have to stick around and see if it gets weird at the end of all of our podcasts, though.
We didn't nearly go on long of a tangent that we normally do. So
That's true. We did. We didn't. There's not enough Season of the Traitors for us to go on, retrospective looks at obscure characters and how this reminds us of.
Well, we have to do it about all the shows that the players from the Traitors are from.
That's true. Yeah. So,
subscribe to my TikTok if you want to hear all that.
yeah.
More about Dylan Efron.
Yeah, at Dylan Efron Facts on TikTok.
Dylan on Dylan is what I'm gonna do.
Dylan on Dylan.
There you go.
That can be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you in the next one.